Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Gagne. I'm a realtor and relocation specialist here in Northeast Florida. I have a lot of local residents lately that are renters wondering, should I continue to rent or is now the right time to purchase my first home? And to help us answer those questions, I have my friend Brad, the mortgage guy, here with us. And fun fact, Brad has his license in all 50 states.
Yeah, absolutely. So you being a relocation specialist, well, we help people relocate everywhere.
Yes, dangerous with the all 50 states.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
I appreciate it. So, the first question, Brad, that everybody wants to know is what kind of credit score do I need to qualify for a mortgage?
Okay. All right. So I get asked this a lot of times, and a lot of times people will ask it to like, hey, what credit score should I be aiming for? Right. Obviously, the answer is going to be the higher the better, because the higher your credit score, the more options you are going to have. So we'll go into your question, which is the minimums, but the higher the better. It's kind of like as if you go in with an 800 credit score, you're walking into DSW, right? There's a lot of shoes you can choose from, a lot of colors, a lot of styles, a lot of everything. If you're walking in with, a 550 credit score, you're walking into a shoe store, there's one pair of shoes that's one color and a size might not even be right. And they probably don't have shoelaces. Okay. So you have options as your credit score goes up, and more options means better rates, better terms, better everything for you. So when I'm talking to people about bringing their credit score up, I'm usually not talking about, hey, let's bring it up to that minimum level. I want to get them to a point where they're past that minimum. So then they have the options and they're walking into DSW. So minimum, however, if we want to talk minimum, you're talking about with a conventional loan, it's about a 620 or so minimum. However, that's not necessary. That doesn't necessarily mean because you have a 620 that you'll get approved. And in fact, unless you have a large down payment at that credit score, you're probably not going to get approved for a conventional loan. FHA is a little different. FHA will go down to minimum down payment, which is 3.5%, down to 580. Again, if you've got a 581, it doesn't mean you can do minimum down. You might have to put down more than minimum, but because FHA looks at the content as well. But if you've got a 580, at least you're eligible for minimum down. If not, FHA goes all the way down to 500. You'd have to put down at least 10% to get approved. VA, a lot more lenient than the rest. You can be into the 500, still, again, qualify for 100% financing. But all of these programs out there now have a system. I say it's been a long time since they've done this, but they now have what's called an automated underwriting system, and your information gets put through that, and it looks at the credit content, not just the credit score. And so it's going to determine what you can do. So if you come in, say, with a VA loan with no money down at a 580 credit score, it might not get approved, but with 10% down, it might get approved, right? Because the system is actually weighing the pros and the cons. So your minimums out there generally, like I said, are what we just discussed there. But we want higher because the higher means less down payment. The higher that means better interest rates. The higher you go, just better terms in general.
Sounds good. So if I'm at a pay less credit score right now and when I'm to the DSW, what do I need to do?
So really, I'd say the first thing is really to get a copy of your credit report, right? I actually send everybody over a link that's looking to improve their credit. They could go there right now. It's bradsalerno.com. Brad in the back of me. Oh, back there, it says Salerno, so you can figure out how to spell Salerno. It's bradsalerno.com/credit. It'll actually pull up a form that kind of walk you through where to get a copy of credit report. But the first thing is get a copy of that credit report. And if there are any inaccuracies, getting those things fixed. Now, if you've got a lot of work to do, there's actually a company on there that I refer people over to that could help you with that process. Honestly, like if you've got a lot of stuff, I suggest getting a company and help you out, just because creditors are terrible to deal with. And when you hire a company to do it, they're kind of even the playing field. Like the creditors will do stuff that's breaking the law even, because people are embarrassed. They don't want to come forward when stuff happens that's wrong. People are embarrassed and they're just, I don't know. I have zero respect for a lot of those credit collectors out there. I'm not saying they're all terrible, but I've just seen a lot of stuff happen to where getting some help could really be helpful. But anyway, getting a copy of your credit report, number one, go through it. If there's any inaccuracies, get those corrected. If it's accurate, in the old days, people used to dispute everything. It doesn't really work anymore. They dispute it. The automated computer system goes, no, that's right. And then the information stays on there. So if it's inaccurate, get it removed. You might be able to get some stuff removed when you hire a company because they're going to know the intricate little laws that say, oh, this isn't reported right. So instead of arguing the content, they're arguing it being there because it's not correctly on there and getting things removed that way. But anyway, get rid of as much bad stuff as you can, number one. But number two is, and I don't like to call these steps because steps imply one after another. They're really simultaneous. It's fix the old, which is what we just talked about, the bad stuff, pay off the debts, all that stuff, but then establish new good credit as well. I could go into in a lot of detail on that and spend another 20 minutes on that. But go to that link that I just said, bradsalerno.com/credit. It'll talk you through getting the credit report and talk you through how to establish that credit too. So it's fix the old, establish new is going to be the way to bring those scores up.
Sounds great. And then you mentioned getting new good credit. So the other question is, how much credit and or debt should I really have? A lot of people have credit cards, student loans. What does that look like?
Well, I mean, the best way to build credit, we're talking about utilizing credit, utilizing these accounts to build your credit. The best way to utilize to build the credit is using what I call the 2 credit card method. So what the 2 credit card method is you get 2 credit cards and assume everything else is paid off. Now you might have a car loan and that's fine. Obviously, paid on time. That should be a no-brainer, right? Student loans, paid on time. Pay attention too on those student loans when they're coming off deferment, if they're currently deferred, because I get a lot of people who their student loans are on deferment, and because they're on deferment, when the bill actually comes that you're supposed to pay, people just throw it away because they think, oh, this is just another statement that's showing me that it's deferred, right? I don't need to pay attention to it. They haven't paid attention to it for a year. And all of a sudden it comes off deferment until they start getting nasty letters that says urgent, open immediately. And then they've got like 2, 3, 4 months behind. So pay attention to your student loans. All right. But I'm sorry, I digress. I'm moving into, I'm zigging and zagging here when I should be going straight line. The 2 credit card method, best way to improve your credit, or if you have no credit to establish credit, get 2 credit cards. Put Netflix on one, put Hulu on another, a subscription service, go every 10th of the month, buy a gallon of milk, and that's it. You're going to charge very, very low amounts, below 10% of whatever the limit is on that card. It could be a $300 limit. Doesn't matter what your limit is, $30 or less every month. When the bill comes, pay it in full, pay it on time. But because you're paying it in full and paying it on time, you'd think you'll have a zero balance. You'll never have a zero balance because every 10th of the month, you're going to buy in that milk again, or Netflix is charging on the 20th or whatever that date is, right? Do that with 2 credit cards. That's what you need to establish new good credit. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Fantastic. So now the elephant in the room that everybody really wants to know, how much money do I actually have to save for a down payment and closing costs?
Yeah. All right. So this is kind of like that question about what's the minimum credit score. Please save as much as you can, because I don't want you going into a house with no money either, right? Like, in fact, a lot of people will call me up and say, hey, I don't need, I'll start talking about maybe programs that are available for down payment. Oh, I've got my own down payment, right? Almost like in a prideful way, like, oh, I shouldn't be utilizing these programs. No, these programs are out there to give you some money. And if you've got your own money, let's keep it in your pocket so then you have money to move, you have money to paint, you have money for carpet. So absolutely, I want you to save as much as possible. But again, we're going to come back to answer the question, which is the minimum amounts. You've got conventional loans, 3% down. You've got VA loans, 100% financing, no money down. USDA loans, 100% financing, no money down. FHA loans, 3.5% down. But that's only part of the money that you need to buy a house. That's the down payment piece that you need to buy a house. You also need closing costs in there, and that can range anywhere from about 3 to 5%, depending. Some places even a little bit higher than that, but 3 to 5% of the purchase price is what you should expect between closing costs, the taxes, the insurances, the attorneys, the recording charges, the inspections, all that stuff. somewhere between that 3 and 5% number. Now, that's very generic. Like and that could be a big swing, right? On a $500,000 house, that's, I'm saying somewhere between 15 and 25,000. Well, that's where somebody like me comes into play. You should get yourself pre-approved, and then we can actually give you a real number based upon what state you're in, what county you're in, what town you're in. And all those details make up what the actual costs are going to be. Now, for those costs, you should have your down payment, obviously the 3%, the 100% financing programs, FHA 3.5% down. So you should have those down payments, plus you should have your closing costs. But there's also programs available in almost every state that, I shouldn't even say almost every state, it is every state, that will help provide you money for down payment assistance. So that's what I was referring to when I first started answering this question, which is there are programs that are there that people can get some money from. And if you've saved up your 5% or 10% or 20%, maybe we still utilize those programs if we can, and if you qualify, so we can keep more money in your pocket, right? Especially in the states that have forgivable down payment assistance, meaning you're just getting the money for free and they're forgiving it over time or immediately, depending on the program. You absolutely want to take advantage of those things and keep as much money in your pocket, because when the water heater goes, we want to make sure that you've got some money in your pocket. So save as much as you can, but those are the minimums that we just discussed.
That's fantastic. And I think one other thing to mention and to think about as well too, if you have a great realtor when you're looking for a home, they can actually help negotiate some of those seller concessions to help pay with that. Or new construction builds, a lot of times we can work with the builders to help with closing costs as well too. So that's definitely
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that also, and I'm glad you brought that up, because you being in Florida right now, not every market in Florida is the same, right? This development over here might be a development where you could get a closing cost credit, but this development over here, maybe you can't. And different parts of the country are either buyers or sellers markets. And your local realtor, like yourself, is going to be able to negotiate and be able to, one, negotiate, but two, also guide you on what's going to get your offer accepted and what is working in that specific market. So I'm glad you brought that up as well. Certainly negotiating any credit from the seller for closing costs is an awesome way to buy a house with as little money out of pocket as possible.
For sure. It's good to have options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I think one other important thing to call out as well too, Brad, is that I think a lot of times people have misconceptions that being a first-time home buyer means I've never purchased a home before, but that's not correct, is it?
No, you're 100% right. And that's a great point. Most places, and there are, believe it or not, there's several definitions that are out there, but the most popular definition is, if you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, you are considered a first-time home buyer. So if you sold a house 5 years ago, you're considered again a first-time home buyer. There's little caveats in each individual state, programs, like, some of them have a little bit of twist on that, but every single one of them has that 3-year rule. And then they add some twists where maybe more people might qualify, or even less in some cases. So
that's great. Thank you for clarifying that. I think a lot of people will definitely be excited to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got somebody watching, Brad, and they feel like their credit is where it needs to be. They've got some money saved. So what do they do next? What's their next step?
The first step, the next step really is to talk to a loan officer, right? If you've got a realtor that you're using, oftentimes a realtor, when you call that realtor, that's the first thing they're going to do is they're going to tell you, go talk to a loan officer. So how you doing? It's Brad, the mortgage guy. So yeah, just really get on the phone with a loan officer, and you're gonna put your information into the system. For us, this is not everybody. For us, we do a soft credit pull, so you don't have to worry about your credit being, brought down at all by an inquiry or anything like that. That's not super common in the industry. I honestly don't know who else does that, but I'm sure there's somebody else. I just don't know it necessarily. But we do a soft credit pull. And then you're really going to hop on, you'll provide a couple of documents to that loan officer as well, but you're going to hop on a phone with that loan officer. And to me, on that phone call, they should really be going over what I call the 3 important numbers. The 3 important numbers are, what's my payment? right? That seems important to me at least, right? Like if I'm buying a house, what's my payment? Number two is going to be how much cash do I need out of pocket? And at that point, you should talk through what's available from down payment assistance programs if you're a first time home buyer. If you're selling and buying, do I need to sell in order to buy? Do I, you talked about people relocating. Well, oftentimes they got something to sell. Do I need to sell in order to buy? But we're going to talk about payment. We're going to talk about what do you need cash to close, including down payment, closing costs, everything. And then third is going to be where should you be shopping price wise? And that third thing we are going to adjust based upon your comfort zone of those first two. So if we talk through and say you're approved up here, but you can't sleep at night with that mortgage payment, we're going to bring you back down here to a spot that you can sleep at, right? Because comfort level is more important than what a computer system says you can get approved for.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you so much for answering all these questions that I've been getting a lot of recently. I appreciate it. Definitely. So for anybody that's watching, if you want to explore your options, our contacts will be below and we'll be happy to help. Any other last words, Brad?
That's it. I appreciate it. This was great. We'll do it again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.